I am genuinely surprised at the Sea of Thieves community, and not for a negative reason. We have been discussing for several days now, through my videos, what griefing is and where does toxicity go too far. Both PvE players and PvP players talking openly and respectfully, and unbelievably, even the extremists on both sides are giving a take and mostly being respectful about it. These past few days have been absolutely amazing, being able to hear so many points of view and stories that have changed my whole outlook on Sea of Thieves forever. The problem is not the community at all. The problem is Rare. The community might seem toxic from the outside, but looking in, the good people in it heavily outweigh the trolls who just want to make people suffer and kill the game faster. This is due to the fact that plagues any community, in that casual players are usually quiet and reserved versus the loud and vocal trolls and harassers that are in the minority. But this community is something different that I have never really seen before. Even the trolls and harassers are willing to talk with the community and attempt to come to a common understanding. What other community is like that, where the toxic players and trolls can come together and agree that Rare encouraging reporting griefing and toxicity in a pirate game is in itself a problem? As a matter of fact, I feel like I need to rethink where I see the community in terms of toxicity. If I were to have, like, a tier list, let's say we put it somewhere around here instead. I mentioned that my whole outlook on the game has changed from the stories and viewpoints that you all have been kind enough to share. Let me explain how and why, but first, really, how amazing is that? Most gaming communities only solidify opinions in a game because any different ideas are usually met with harsh words and simple "you're wrong, get good," while there are those people in this community, they are few and far between. No, this is frankly an amazing community, and it's not just that simple. It's more like, I can see where you're coming from, and where you get that point of view, but here is why I disagree, and I think it should be this way instead. No harsh words, no getting mad and cursing, just a civil conversation and discussing with both sides, willing to hear each other out and share their opinions and ideas. That is just so incredible to me, because when you meet a different point of view with "you're just wrong" without discussing why and being willing to see an issue with both sides, all you do is reinforce why they think that to begin with. The clashing ideals in this community are not caused by that almost at all. Rather, the unclear nature of how Rare thinks the game should be played. Coming to this realization, here is what I've been able to take away from this whole ordeal. Rare needs to be clear on their rules of toxicity and preferably only reserve reports and bans for the most extreme offenders, actual dangerous acts like predators, stalkers, harassment, and death threats. Everything else should be fair game. It's a bit hard to tell if this is what they want, being that it's a pirate game, but it's also rated T and welcoming to all ages, but ideally you should not have to worry about censoring yourself unless you're actually being racist or something, for example. Secondly, the very idea of even being able to report griefing at all is flawed. You can't possibly police that when griefing is a mechanic built into the game itself. Rare should remove griefing as an option for reporting altogether. Lastly, for everyone who has quit or decided not to get the game because of videos or live streams you have seen or stories you have heard, I think you should give the game a go. As I said, the good players heavily outnumber the bad, and this was all more about a cautionary tale of where it could be going. And if we all band together, not to fight back at griefers or trolls, but just make the seas a little more welcoming overall, then it won't matter what Rare does. The community and the game is just as much the people's as it is Rare's. If we can all understand each other and find common ground, then no matter what Rare throws at us in the future, we can keep the game alive for years to come, and if or when it eventually does die, at the very least, we can say we had a damn good run. Again, this split is not the fault of the community, but Rare not being clear on how to play the game and what to report. I say, don't even bother with Rare's own report system. The horror stories I have heard and my own experiences make me not trust it one bit. Handle the disputes in-game, and if someone harasses you outside of the game to large extremes, then take that up with the Xbox report system. Rare shouldn't get involved whatsoever. Now, the main complaint I have gotten with this is that so many griefers are about that it makes players untrusting on approaching other ships and trying to help new players and make them feel welcome? Well, here are some simple steps you can do to find new players and make them feel welcome. The whole issue is the risk of the ship attacking or getting scared and running off. This is why casual players usually stick to themselves and have a tough time. This is not a game that works well without cooperation or friends. This is why so many have had a hard time getting into it. In an approach to a ship, to show that you are no threat, the Alliance flag means nothing. You can just betray them once you join the Alliance. Approach them with no kegs, slowly, with your bow facing their broadside of the other ship. Not fast enough to ram them, and unable to shoot back, but giving them the chance to shoot you if they need it. That is the universal sign of, I'm not here to attack you, and if I am going to betray you, it's going to be much later. Coming in so slow that you don't need to anchor, of course, and if they shoot at you, you have time to just turn. You just have time to just turn and drop the sails and leave, repairing as you go. It takes longer to flood a ship than you'd imagine. We shouldn't be so antisocial that we're afraid to interact with anyone. That's what makes it seem like there are so many trolls and toxic players, because they're the only ones brave enough to come to you. It makes it seem like by default that the community has this massive, massive problem of toxic players and griefers, when really, that's just the only people you've let yourselves come across. Encourage meeting new people, and if it doesn't work, oh well, there's a whole other sea of players out there. Something that would help a lot, though, is the joining crew system being reworked. As it is, sometimes you join an open crew and you're the first one to load in with a giant empty ship, all alone at a dock, waiting for sometimes up to 20 minutes for another player to join. If that's a problem that you're having, there should be a join crew in progress option, where the crew, for sure, already has people. I think that would encourage new players to learn from more experienced pirates more, instead of trying to solo sloop and rage quitting because they can't get anywhere. As it is, though, if you do need to find a crew, you can check out the Sea of Thieves official Discord. You'll always be able to find someone and meet new people there. If you are new, though, and don't want to meet new people, or have a crew at all, and just want to play on your own, then I'm sorry, but you're not going to get anywhere fast. You can play like this, of course. At the end of the day, long story short, try to help new players get into the game and learn so they can forge crews of their own and someday then pass it on to the next generation of pirates. And if you have a problem with another crew constantly harassing you, either just learn how to avoid them, which I might make my own video on, or find a new game. The setbacks can be annoying, but unless they take the harassment outside of the game entirely, then I wouldn't even bother reporting them, because as it is now, the report system Rare has in place is completely useless. Let everyone play how they want, and don't be afraid to help new players or seek help yourself if you're new. We, the community, can keep this game together, whether Rare steps in or not. Usually a community can't survive without the devs keeping it policed and safe, but we're not like any other community. We do not need hand-holding, and we don't need interference with our problems. We are pirates, and if we can't handle it ourselves, then the sea is not a good place to be. And Rare should not be encouraging us, taking the problems to them that can be solved on our own. But I really think that this community has what it takes to keep itself together. You don't have to agree with the views of another crew. You don't need to get along with them. Hell, you can hate their guts, but at the end of the day, respect that we are all pirates, and we are all free to play as we like. Whether that be spawn camping an outpost, or forming a giant alliance for grinding, we should all be free to do whatever we want, because that is what being a pirate is about. About avoiding any kingdom or government rule, and forging our own community and our own path. We are pirates, and Rare is the government we are not bound by. Plus, it's not like they've been listening to us recently anyway.
Play it cool as you dab your way to victory.
Fire!